Greetings and welcome to the Homeless Consultant channel. My name is Paul B. I am the Homeless Consultant. And in this video I want to tie together some loose ends that you'll find in my other videos. Specifically what I've said about how I frequently witness drug deals. But first I need to mention that in another video, the video called What It Is Like to Live in a Car, I mentioned that when it snows I have to try to anticipate where the snow plows are going to be and dodge them. And that's where I'm at right now. Bad snowstorm, and I keep having to move my car. I just drove my car over a concrete island when my suspension is so bad to begin with because I couldn't see it. And I've had to keep moving my car for the last hour and a half or so trying to get away from these plows because, you know, I can't sense the rhyme or reason to how they're plowing. And if I don't, they'll just snow me in. They'll just bury me in to spite me or because it's most convenient. So where I'm at now, I'm in a gas station with the snow falling around me. I was just outside. I was helping the girl who worked here brush off her car, but all I have are sandals and socks, so my feet are, when I say my feet are freezing, most people just think of freezing as being like this. I'm talking about toes that are like hard, like ice. And of course I can't run the car when I'm making a video. Everything here is parked on a hill, so the only way I can warm up my feet is if the car's running and the heater's running. But then if it's running, I have to have my foot on the brake because the car will roll, otherwise the emergency brake doesn't work. Well, I can't warm up my foot if I have to keep it on the brake. So instead I shut off the car and I wrapped it in wrapped my feet in a couple of blankets, and I'm hoping that they will thaw out instead of turning gangrene. But this is what I have to deal with. This is what it's like. If you want to know what it's like to be homeless, this is it. Alright, so let me just tell you what this video is going to tie together. Number one, the thing about the snow plows. Number two, that I frequently witness drug deals. And I said before, I can't document these very well because the last thing I want to do is point a video camera at these people. If they see that, my life is at risk. Serious risk. Now also I want to mention that, emphasize what I said in the video, What It Is Like to Live in a Car, that I'm not the person who is a threat to anybody. I help other people whenever I'm able to. I don't threaten other people. I'm being threatened by other people. In this case, specifically, these drug dealers. And the fact that the people who threaten me live in homes. And yet it's the homeless who have the instinctive, visceral reputation. When you hear that somebody's homeless, you assume that they're just a dirtbag right out of the gate. You couldn't be more wrong. I also want to emphasize points I've made that, at least in Minnesota here, lazy bums prosper while hardworking but unemployed homeless people suffer in unbelievable misery. I want to emphasize with this video that I've been punished for doing the right thing while others are rewarded for doing the wrong thing. That's another pattern that has been absolutely consistent in this state since I moved here 10 years ago. I also want to emphasize points from my videos that the news media protects the government here, a very negligent, incompetent, and corrupt government. The media protects that government and refuses to cover things such as this story that I'm telling you here in these videos. And you're only seeing a small part of it. You're not seeing what happened the first 8 years of me fighting against corruption, negligence, and incompetence, which, by the way, is the reason, more than any other reason, that I'm homeless. And this is also just going to tie together general themes of absurdity and injustice, like I just mentioned. So, alright, as far as drug deals, let's get to that. I witness drug deals pretty much anywhere I go because the places I seek are rather isolated, usually without police interference, try to find places with as little interference from anyone as I can, you know, just for some privacy and so people aren't staring and pointing and laughing, and just for safety and security. Although, you know, if you're that isolated, it isn't all that safe. If someone shows up, they can really mess with you and there's no one around to help. But then again, nobody helps homeless people anyway, so what difference does it make? So I have witnessed drug deals. Now, when I get out like in parks, you know, really nice parks, the customers for these drug dealers are usually more upscale. They look like professionals. They look like soccer moms. They look like members of the state legislature, to be honest. And incidentally, 10 years ago when I first moved here, I sent a letter to all the legislators warning them of something they were doing that was, again, pattern recognition, systems analysis, based on simple logic and data, trends that are always consistent and never have exceptions. Based on all of this, they were doing something that was guaranteed to send the heroin epidemic in Minnesota skyrocketing. And it's me doing things like that that have resulted in me being homeless. That was 10 years ago. What do we have today? I'm homeless, living in a car, freezing. Those legislators are doing just fine, still shoving money in their pockets, and indeed, the heroin epidemic has now skyrocketed, and they're putting it in this news media that covers for the government and saying, we don't know what happened. Well, I told them what was happening 10 years ago, and they didn't care. So the drug deal I'm going to show you in this video, I'm pretty sure is heroin. I can't guarantee you. I'm hardly an expert on drugs. I mean, this is something I've learned just by observing the last 2 years. I've never used drugs, illegal, you know, mind-altering drugs. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I want nothing to do with it. But I'm totally offended by the fact that these people can just, right in front of everyone, sit out here day after day after day and sell drugs, which is illegal, which hurts people. And in this case, with the deal you're going to see, this guy sells to young people, like high school age kids. They can get away with that, and they have a nice shiny new car while I'm sleeping and living in a 16-year-old piece of junk that hardly runs at all. And that guy apparently goes to a nice warm home every night. Again, absurdity and injustice all around. I'm terribly offended that this guy can just do this blatantly right in the middle of all these people who are shopping. He just does it every single day. He doesn't, and in fact, in this video you're going to see there was a police officer on the other side of the building from where he was making the deal. I mean, that's how easy it is for them to do this. Actually, you're not going to see it, but I'll tell you why. So with the video, this dealer I see, again, almost daily. It's the same routine. He parks where the cameras are, the security cameras are not covering. He has pulled up next to me a couple of times. I don't know if he thought I was the buyer or what, but he looks at me and glares at me. And the thing is, he sees me sitting here all the time because I'm stuck living in this parking lot. And from what I can tell, he seems to be concerned. He notices, just like everyone. I tell you, everyone notices my car because it's always there. And this is exactly what I mean. This dealer has noticed that my car with me in it is always there. People notice these things. The problem is, he's paranoid. He's a drug dealer. So what's he going to think? He's going to wonder if, well, is this guy staking me out? Is he with the DEA? Who is this guy? And as it turns out, yesterday he pulled a pretty good intimidation tactic on me. I'll show you a video of that at the end of this video. So this guy is in fact paying attention to me, and I don't like that. That puts my life at risk. I'm just stuck living in this parking lot, and while I'm here I observe what's going on. And what I observe is this guy dealing drugs with impunity. And I don't like it, and I try to document it a bit for these videos. But I'm the one who has my life at risk. I'm not the threat to other people. This is the point I've been trying to make in these videos all along. When people hear that I'm homeless, they immediately shrink back and think that I'm the dirtbag. Really? No, you're about to see the dirtbag. The guy who's selling drugs to kids. That's the dirtbag. But he has a nice car. He has a nice home. Nobody's messing with him. I'm the one who gets a knock on my window when I'm trying to sleep, minding my own business. So what happened in this video? Normally, this particular dealer is one of the ones who has the buyer enter his car. He has the buyer get into the back seat behind him, the driver. There's nobody in his passenger front seat. And this is the way it always goes. And they do their deal, and then the buyer walks to their car and leaves. And the way it goes is the buyer leaves right away, and the dealer sits there for a couple minutes, and then he just kind of smooths his way out slowly, not drawing attention to himself. And that's what you're going to see in the video. In this particular case, there was a third car, which I'm not used to seeing, and it makes me nervous. They were far enough away where I felt comfortable filming them, but I hid the camera. I raised my steering wheel and filmed through the steering wheel. And I just held it there solid. That's why I couldn't pan over to show you the police officer on the other side of the building. The deal was going on right over there. The police officer was right there. In between them was a very small gas station. And the third car went. At first, when I looked over there, it was just like the rest of the parking lot. There were two cars parked next to each other. One of them had their headlights on, facing in my direction. Not unusual at all. I didn't think anything of it. I couldn't really see the far car, which was the dealer. What happened was one of his frequent buyers, who is a high school age kid with a distinctive car, he came tearing in from this side and went straight over there. As soon as I saw his car, I knew he was here to do a deal. So I looked to see where he went, and there he goes. Pulls in next to the drug dealer. It's like, okay. That's when I pulled out my camera. By the time I got my camera situated, the kid he left his car running and his headlights on, and he walked again into the back seat behind the driver in the drug dealer's car. By the time I got the camera rolling, he was already in the car. Now, when I started filming, because they're far enough away, I was zooming. Somebody got out of, it wasn't this kid, but it was someone else, got out of the drug dealer's car and walked and went into the black car that you'll see. The black car I've never seen before. That's the one that was facing me with its headlights on. At the time, because I didn't see that person walking into the car, I wasn't sure if that was an innocent bystander, because the dealer has been known to park very near other cars, kind of to blend in, or if this was someone who was in on the deal. As you'll see, they were in on the deal. Obviously, someone walked from the dealer's car into their car. So you've got this Chinese fire drill going on with people switching, moving into other people's cars. It's pretty obvious what's going on, isn't it? Well, apparently not, because they're getting away with it. I'm dying in this car. I'm now out of food, out of money, out of gas, stranded. I'm stuck in these snowstorms. I'm just on my last leg. I'm just waiting to die, basically. This guy's just flourishing, absolutely flourishing, just making money hand over fist and probably going to a pretty nice home. If you don't understand why that bothers me, then why are you watching this video? So what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you the video, and I'm going to edit out the middle like 8 minutes or so where nothing happened, because nothing happened. There's no movement except cars driving in the background. So when the video begins, you're going to see the person walking from the dealer's car into this black car. And again, I didn't see that at the time. I was filming from a distance. I didn't notice that happened. Then I'm going to cut it, edit out the 8 minutes where nothing happened, and then go to the end where I show you where the buyer, this high school age kid, got out of the dealer's car, walked over to his car, and immediately left, as he always does. The dealer normally sits there for another 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe 10 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, he usually goes into the store. In this case, he stayed about 3 or 4 minutes. And then he slowly pulls out. This time he pulled out in a way that made me really spooked, because you'll see he pulled out, kind of inched his way out as if he's positioning his mirror to try to look at my car or something. And the reason I think that is because this black car was facing me the whole time. And again, I didn't really know that was part of the deal. So I'm sitting here pointing a camera directly at them for, I think it was 13 minutes or so, 15 minutes that I had this camera going, with this guy shining his lights in my direction. The black car, when the black car left, that's when I realized that they were in on the drug deal. And then, of course, when I looked at the video later and saw somebody get into their car, it was obvious they were part of it. So there were 3 people involved here. So with that, I'm just going to play you that video with that nothingness in the middle edited out. The reason I want to play you the video is because you'll hear me narrating it quietly. I mean, for some reason I'm whispering as if they're going to hear me. I mean, that's how nervous I get in these. I think I had to edit out the part where I just mentioned that there was a police officer over here and why I couldn't pan over to show them. But I just told you about that anyway, so no harm, no foul. Anyway, this is what this guy's particular brand of drug deal looks like. He does it every single day. He does it with impunity. So go ahead and watch the video, and when we're done with that, I'll come back and I'll talk to you about the intimidation this guy's starting to engage in. Looks like he's climbing out of the back seat now. He's probably going to walk around the rear of the car, go to his car, get in. Buyer usually leaves first. Then the dealer, I think the dealer kind of sits there for a couple minutes before he leaves. I didn't want the buyer was headed my way. I didn't want him to see this LCD screen on my left side. So let's see how long the dealer sits there before he leaves. I'm still trying to get the dealer's license number. And then there goes the black car. So the black car might have had something to do with this after all. Now he's getting ready to go. Maybe. Maybe not. Man, this is really scary. These guys all around me. I'm sitting here with a camera with a bright LCD. Okay, so now you've seen what the deal is. The deal was on a particular evening, a couple nights ago. The very next morning, at 6 a.m. in the morning, it was still dark. I just happened to be awake. I was working on something on my computer here. The dealer pulled in the same way he always does. He pulled into this almost empty grocery store parking lot, and he parked facing me but a couple spaces over. And as he always does, he turns his lights off immediately. He doesn't like to draw attention to himself. And he sat there for the next hour and 23 minutes. From 6 a.m. until 7:23, just sat there. He wasn't doing a deal. I've never seen him do a deal in the morning. Nobody showed up anywhere near him. And I can't count this as anything other than him trying to let me know that he knows I'm watching him. Now, he might not have done anything direct because he doesn't know if I'm a DEA agent or if I'm just a homeless guy, but he knows I'm watching him. That's why he sat there. And what that means is that I could wake up on any given moment. I could wake up dead with a bullet in my head. And there's not anybody in the state legislature who's going to care. There's not anybody in this Minnesota news media who's going to care. There's not anybody in these 100 Minnesota churches I went to who's going to care. I will just be cremated and buried in a mass grave and forgotten about. And this guy will continue to go on doing his drug deals with impunity, as he has been every single day right in front of my eyes. So I don't have much here. I certainly wasn't going to take a big chance. What I did to film this guy at all was I wrapped my camera in a blanket, and then I made this big production about moving this whole blanket from here to there. So you see the camera pan. It's the only way I had any hope of even getting any kind of image of this guy sitting there. Alright, and then after that I got a little more bold, and I put some stuff up on the dash where I could slip my camera in, and then I was able to zoom in on him. And one reason I did that was I wanted to make absolutely sure it was in fact the dealer, and yes, it was. So this was, let's see, that deal the night before ended at 10 p.m., so 8 hours later. He's in that parking lot, 6 in the morning, when no one else is out there. Nobody came to meet him, and he spends almost an hour and a half, an hour and 23 minutes just facing my car. So you tell me if there was a purpose to that had nothing to do with me, because this guy is watching me. Like I said, he's pulled up next to me before and looked at me very carefully, giving me a look that can kill. And this, I guess I should also emphasize, this is just one of the dealers I see. This is just one of the types of drug deals that I witness. This is what I see out here. So, there you go. I just wanted to show you some documentary evidence of this. I also wanted to put it online because if I do wake up dead, at least there'll be something out there someday. Maybe someone will actually watch these videos and they'll figure out why I had to die. I have a high-res version of this. I'm going to give this link to the DEA, let them look at it. If they want the high-res version so they can get license plates and things, I'll be happy to provide that to them. Because I am terribly offended that people like that are able to go out there and break the law, hurt people, hurt young people with those drugs, and they're able to just get away with it and prosper and flourish, make money hand over fist, while I, who worked harder than anyone else at any of the jobs I've had in my life. And if you don't believe me, watch my series, How Not to Do Business, where I tell you how much I did at a truck wash. After all my education and business experience, even then I worked harder than people who were half my age. I end up living in a car. I end up being exploited by employers like Mr. H at this truck wash. That's what I get. I get ignored by the news media out here. I get ignored by all the churches out here. State legislature, all the way up to the governor's office. They don't even respond. They could care less if I live or die. And this guy gets to prosper. I'm terribly offended by that. And that's what this video is all about. I hope you got something out of it. As I said before, if you ever have a chance, spend a day just sitting in a parking lot and watch what goes on. You're going to be shocked by what goes on around you all the time, and you don't even know it because you're too busy coming in and going out. And you don't notice what this person here is doing and that person there is doing. It's pretty scary. Try living in it sometime. Try living in it for 2 years when you did nothing wrong. I'm homeless because I obeyed the law, stupid laws by the way. I followed the proper chain of command. I demanded that law enforcement enforce the law when they refused to, on my behalf. I did things like notify the state legislature of what was going to cause a heroin epidemic, but the problem was it was putting so much cash in their pockets that they weren't going to do anything about it. So now they have a major heroin epidemic. This is the reason I'm homeless. This is the reason I'm living in a car. And every one of these other people out there continues to prosper. The only one who has suffered is me. Like I said, injustice and absurdity. That's all I have for you today. I've got to try to dig my car out of here and find somewhere to let the plows into this space now. So thank you for watching.